really wish, you know, we sit here, we do this all the time. Oh boy, why does this keep happening? Why does this keep happening? Look in the mirror.
I knew this stuff, but these massive media companies don't know this stuff.
Ruslan.
I am interested in what is the role that the media plays in this, because the media does play a role in this. We just don't know. And so this is from Breaking Points, which is independent media. Breaking Points is Crystal and Sagar, independent media. Okay. This is something that is not funded by either side. And Sagar is a conservative, not a Christian. Crystal is a progressive liberal, not a Christian. And this is their channel. And this video is called How the Media Perpetrates These Situations. Okay, so let's check this out.
My name is Spencer Snyder. Welcome to Breaking Points. Today, I want to talk about mass shootings, specifically how they are covered in the media. While I was watching The Five, which is something that no one should ever do, Greg Gutfeld, and I'm going to say something I've never had occasion to say, Greg Gutfeld had a great point.
Greg, as we know, a lot of these that we've unfortunately had to cover, there's a lot that is still going to be made clear later on in days and weeks ahead.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily need the information, to be honest with you. I mean, there is math to this. When a mass shooting occurs, there's an increased probability of another one within 13 days because of something called generalized imitation. That's when a person's behavior is amplified and influenced.
And they just caught someone walking onto a school with a bunch of arms. So within a 13-day window, this is more likely to increase. And they just caught someone that was potentially attempting to do this.
It says other people's behavior to engage in similar actions. We know this happens with mass shootings. The World Health Organization has issued guidelines for suicide, on reporting suicide, to reduce the incidence of copycats or imitational suicide.
Right.
I really wish, you know, we sit here, we do this all the time. Oh boy, why does this keep happening? Why does this keep happening? Look in the mirror. You know, we constantly
Look in the mirror. And so he's going to say that this is a issue with the media.
Place these stories. We repeat facts over and over again. The frequency plays a role. We provide step-by-step descriptions of the crime. We do not limit the use of photos or videos. We have live press events. What I'm talking about is we increase the spectacle of an event so that it stays in somebody's mind. The more you increase the frequency of a report, the more likely somebody's going to hear it and be influenced by it. All I'm saying is change the reporting methods finally.
So the question is, does mass media coverage increase the number of shootings? Because the assertion here is that essentially the way ABC, NBC, Fox, whoever, the way they cover mass shootings are not only not in the public's interest, it's dangerous.
Yep.
So let's examine some of what he said, because he's right about this. If the media used the guidelines for how to report on suicides for their coverage of shootings, it would be very different.
Yep.
The World Health Organization guidelines that Gutfeld is referring to is this: Preventing Suicide, a resource for media professionals. It essentially provides a list of do's and don'ts when reporting on suicide. Do provide accurate information about where to seek help. Do apply caution when interviewing bereaved family or friends. Don't place stories about suicide prominently, and don't unduly repeat such stories. Don't explicitly describe the method used. The idea is essentially that you want to prevent contagion.
Yes.
So if you are reporting on a celebrity suicide, you don't want your reporting to be an advertisement for it. Because
and there it is, right? The contagion aspect of this is so crucial, because we miss that this is a contagion. That this stuff catches on, other people see it, they want to do it, they want to emulate it. And we would acknowledge this with self-deletion. We don't acknowledge this with this act.
As it turns out, reports on suicide often lead to more. There have been over 100 studies on this imitative behavior since the 70s, and the consensus is that media reports can make things worse. From a study on celebrity suicide reports in South Korea, they found that within just one day after news breaking, on average, the number of suicides in the population increased by 16.4%. Now,
that's a crazy increase on average. So when they report it, that's how much the number jumped when this was happening to a celebrity.
Interestingly, this WHO report that Gutfeld referenced does have a section on mass shootings, and they link to a website called reportingonmassshootings.org.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought that there's actually recommendations? We talk about recommendations from the WHO on all these other issues, on the bang bang, on whether you should wear a mask or not. Right, we listen, but on this, somehow the media does it. Oh, we don't know.
Which has similar guidelines for news outlets. Let's just take a look at some of these guidelines and see if the same prudence that's typically applied to reporting on suicides is applied to reports on shootings. Present facts about the shooter and describe their behavior as illegal and harmful instead of stating the perpetrator's name frequently.
Suspect Audrey Hale driving into the school.
Audrey Hale. Hale's parents.
Don't show graphic images of the crime scene.
We have to warn you, the images you're about to see are disturbing.
Okay.
these reporters and these news media companies, which by the way, if you go back and look at my videos on this, never said the name, never showed the footage. I'm a freaking YouTuber, and I didn't know this list existed, but I know what not to do. You mean to tell me I, as a YouTuber, got the common sense? Don't put this person's picture in the thumbnail. Don't hype this stuff up. Don't show the footage. Don't say their name. I knew this stuff, but these massive media companies don't know this stuff.
So you see where these examples are going, but I have just one more for you. If using photos of the perpetrator, only show the face and crop out weapons, uniforms, and other visual elements that might inspire copycats instead of showing images of the shooter with weapons or dressed in military-style clothing. As shown here in these reports illustrating what not to do. It's like these people read this infographic, but were told that it was actually a guide for how to maximize engagement when reporting on shootings, and then just did all of these things.
It's like they did the very opposite of what they were instructed to do. And unfortunately, we just had another situation that was about to happen just a few days ago, and it was prevented from happening. Right? This is insanity. Hey, you want to see something crazy? 67% of the people who watch this channel are not subscribed. Do me a quick favor, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you stay up to date on all the videos here on the Blessed God Studios channel.
Okay, so let's get back to this idea of contagion, because there's definitely a connection, but it's not quite as simple. So every 12.5 days, there is a mass shooting. Every 31.6 days, there is a school shooting. And the 13 days Gutfeld is referring to is this study that found significant evidence that mass killings involving firearms are incented by similar events in the immediate past. On average, this temporary increase in probability lasts 13 days. But the research doesn't appear to be totally clear that tons of coverage of one shooting always creates another out of whole cloth. It may be, for example, that the spectacle of recent active shootings contributes to the tragic crystallization of long, simmering active shooting plans. And the data scientist who came up with the 13 days figure said, our model showed that there was this unusual bunching together in time. But that doesn't mean that all of them were necessarily due to a potential contagion effect. Just some fraction of them. And our analysis found that was 20 to 30%. So unless I'm mistaken, I don't think it's quite as clean as there's a high profile shooting, thus go up by X%. Whatever the likelihood that coverage of one shooting leads to another days or weeks later, we know for sure that shootings are inspired by other shooters. Psychiatrist Deborah Weisbrot noted that a number of the would-be school shooters she evaluated, 114 over 9 years, mentioned a desire to copy the crimes of other shooters. And it's not so hard to figure out where a bunch of kids who express desire to imitate school shooters would learn about them. Kids are not reading psychology journals. They are seeing the reports put out by the biggest news outlets in the country, which broadcast them on an endless loop, which for a would-be shooter can be a huge payoff. One study of the deadliest 31 mass shootings since 1966 found that 87% of mass shooters expressed an explicit or circumstantial desire for fame and attention. And in giving these shooters wall-to-wall coverage, the media reminds the would-be shooter that infamy is potentially available to anyone who wants to go for it.
So it just becomes a feedback loop, these folks participating in this.
But the idea that news outlets tempt these people with infamy is not new. The No Notoriety movement and the Don't Name Them campaign started years ago, and the purpose is to urge news outlets to change the way they report and take away any notion someone might have that shooting up a school will grant them fame. But as we've just seen, the media seems to have no interest in doing that. Here is the founder of No Notoriety confronting Anderson Cooper.
They want to be on television. They want to be infamous. We can stop it. We can't stop it. We can only get shot. CNN, Fox News, the major networks. Why don't you guys all come out with a policy that says, we're not going to show this again. We realize we made a mistake, but just so this never happens again, here's what we're going to do. That would be my challenge to you and to every network, and let's see who comes out with it first.
I also think, I think a start also is not using this person's name, which we're not doing and very consciously, and sadly not everybody is following that policy.
So here Anderson Cooper saying we don't use the person's name. Is that true? Is that true, ladies and gentlemen?
Now, Anderson said they, meaning CNN, weren't using the shooter's name, and they were talking about the shooting at the theater in Aurora, Colorado in 2012. And in fairness, I couldn't find Cooper saying the name of the shooter in Nashville from late March, but CNN as a whole definitely is using the name.
As the video continues, you see Hale start roaming the hallways. Police say Hale had 3 weapons.
Media cling to these.
What an L.
sensational. They have urgency. There are developments in the story. You can satisfy our morbid fascination with true crime, and it's totally polarized, which is something that greatly increases the chances of something getting sustained coverage. Meaning that the right can use this to talk about how the left doesn't care about kids because they don't want to put armed guards in every single school. And liberals can use this as a vehicle for pundits to talk about how Republicans don't care about kids because they refuse to get along with common sense gun laws. Now, regardless of the validity of either side's arguments, because they are definitely not equal, that is part of how the networks use a story about a shooting. Case in point, after Greg Gutfeld gave his pretty reasonable piece on mass shooting coverage, this is what followed it.
Change the reporting methods and treat it like we treat teen suicides, celebrity suicides. We do actually tamp down that coverage.
Well, the White House has already blamed Republicans. Let's listen to Corinne Jean-Pierre.
And that will do it for me. This one was on something obviously quite tragic.
I wish these things were less politicized and polarized, and that we really had a holistic view of this, from the media aspect to the mental health aspect to the red flag law aspect. Because I'm a 2A guy. I own firearms. I'm going to get more. Okay. Yet, it does seem like some of the red flag laws, specifically in Florida, did prevent quite a few of these, right? And most folks who are pro 2A tend to be anti red flag law, which I would need to hear the arguments on that a bit more, but I think that's a reasonable measure. I don't think taking away or hand, I don't think any of that's going to solve it. I think bad guys with guns are going to do what they're going to do. That is what it is. That's going to continue happening, unfortunately. People will find their own ways to get stuff. But the fact that this instantly get framed as one talking point versus the other, I think is super unhelpful and very unnecessary. So, yeah, man. Hey, this clip is from our daily after party stream. If you enjoyed it, consider signing up for our Patreon community for only $5 a month, where you get access to the replays of our daily after party streams, as well as the uncut extended versions of our podcast, Discord access that's private, and a discount code for our merch store, only $5 a month. And ultimately, it's the best way to help us contextualize the gospel of Jesus using media, podcasting, and of course, YouTube. The link for that is in the description or in the pinned comment. The perks are amazing. You should get on there. It's only $5 a month. I'll see you over there, all right?